So hello, everyone. I'm Janine, and I'm part of the marketing team here at Meetup. Some of you might be familiar with me. I've moderated a few of these Meetup Live events before. And I'm super excited for today's event because you get to meet one of our team members, Chiara, and she's going to talk about what's in store for 2024. Chiara is our new product lead. She's going to share some of the wins as well as areas that we are prioritizing for the remaining of the year. I know we're already in March, like product reliability, communication tools, and event discoverability. Did I say that right? Kind of like a tongue twister, right? And also Chiara is going to answer your questions in the remaining 15 minutes of this event. So we encourage you to please submit your questions in the Q&A feature. Before Chiara takes on the presentation, I'm going to share the event guidelines as well as the agenda. So for the guidelines for today, yes, this event is being recorded, but do not worry, you're not going to appear in the video. It's only going to be Chiara and myself, but mainly Chiara. But we will share a recording of this event on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/meetup. I'm pretty sure I got that right. And also everyone is muted. Like I said, you will only see Chiara and myself, and you will only hear Chiara and me. And I promise you, you will not hear that much of me. And please, we ask that you submit your questions, whatever questions you might have in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. And we will get to as many questions as possible in the last 15 minutes of the event. And also closed captioning is available thanks to Zoom and its many great features. You can very simply turn it on by clicking on the live transcription icon at the bottom of your screen and select your preference. As for the agenda, so I just did my opening remarks. Chiara is going to introduce herself for the first 5 minutes, and then she's going to take it over with the presentation for the another 25 minutes, and I will come back on the screen for the remaining 15 minutes, which will be, 3:30? And we will go into the Q&A portion of the event. So again, I encourage you, if you have questions, please submit your questions in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen, and we will get to as many questions as possible. That's it for me. Go ahead, Chiara, take it away.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. It is so lovely to be here to tell you a little bit about what we have in store for Meetup this year. My name is Chiara Vivaldi. I'm Italian, if you couldn't tell. I'm, as Janine said, the new product lead at Meetup, which means that, my role involves defining the strategy of the product, the roadmap for the product, and then actually working closely with developers to build features, to build improvements, and also working very closely with customers, such as some of the people here today, to really understand your needs and make sure that we're evolving the product with those needs in mind. So today, I really want to split the presentation into 3 parts. The first part is about Bending Spoons. So recently, Meetup was acquired by Bending Spoons, and that's where I came in. So I'll tell you a little bit about that, including how usually Bending Spoons approaches new acquisitions, because that might be interesting for you to get a sense of what we might do with Meetup. Then I'll talk a little bit about Meetup's vision and some of the achievements that the team has made in the last year. And then I'll spend the majority of the time here today talking about some of the most exciting opportunities that we've identified for 2024. So let's get started. First off, Bending Spoons. As I said, Bending Spoons is a new parent company. But before I tell you who we are and what we do, I'm pretty sure most of you are wondering where the name comes from. It's pretty unique. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about where the name comes from to break the ice a little. Basically, it comes from the movie The Matrix, which is like such a millennial thing to do, I know. But basically, the founders loved the movie The Matrix. And in particular, they loved this part of the movie, this scene where there's a little boy who bends a spoon using only the power of his mind. And they found it super fitting and inspiring that this metaphor that you can essentially do whatever you want with the power of your mind. So I love that. I love thinking that that's where the name comes from and where the origin of bending spoons comes from. So now that we got that out of the way, who is Bending Spoons? Bending Spoons is a technology and a technology company and app developer based in Milan, Italy. So on the other side of the ocean. And essentially what we do is we operate as a platform company, meaning that when we acquire companies, we use our main strengths, which span from software development to UX UI design to improve the products in our portfolio in quite a wide variety of ways. So here you can see some of the portfolio, some of the companies in our portfolio, some of the products in our portfolio rather. And I want to tell you a little bit about some of them, in particular 3 ones that we acquired relatively recently, because I think it's quite telling. Just, once we acquired it, what was our objective, and in a short amount of time, what did we manage to achieve? So first one is Splice. Splice is actually the product that I personally worked on up until a couple months ago. So I worked on Splice for 3 years. It's my little baby. I'm really proud of it. Splice is a video editing app, which we acquired in 2018 from GoPro. Actually, you probably know about GoPro. And when we acquired Splice, it had, users were already, people were already really enjoying Splice, even though it had pretty limited functionalities at the time. When we acquired it, one of the main things that we realized was that there were a lot of people who were inexperienced with video editing, had never picked up a video editor, who were trying to edit with Splice, and they were having kind of a hard time learning how to use it. So once we acquired it, we really focused on how we might make Splice much, much more intuitive for someone who's never seen a video editor before. And so now you can see the little before and after, which I think is great, because it really shows how much we poured into turning this app into an incredible, intuitive, and at the same time really powerful video editing app. Today, I mean, even when I was still working in Splice, and still today, we're exploring very ambitious ideas to push this objective even further. For example, by exploring how we could leverage artificial intelligence to automate some of these video editing processes. So even people, who don't need, without needing to learn any manual tools, can edit a video. The next one I want to talk about is Remini. Remini we acquired in 2021, and it was already, very popular image editing app with some enhancement features. And now Remini is actually a leader in the generative AI photos category. I believe it's the second most used generative AI product in the world after ChatGPT. So the team did really amazing work here. And some of that success stems from, on the one hand, really strong AI research team who works really at the cutting edge of some of these new technologies. And on the other hand, the business side of the team was able to really identify and drive virality loops. So some of you might have seen some of the viral effects that came out of Remini. So last one that I want to talk about is Evernote. Evernote is a note-taking app that probably many of you have heard of. It's been around for a while, and I mean, it's a pretty iconic brand and product. It was really one of its kind when it came out. But since it has been around for a while, something that happened was that there was quite a bit of buildup of complexity which resulted in some reliability issues that customers were struggling with. So when we acquired it, the team really focused on making Evernote much faster and much sleeker. So they remodernized the entire code base. And now, barely a year after, they're managing to deliver really valuable features and improvements basically every week, which I think is fantastic. So hopefully, you can kind of tell that we put a ton of thought and effort into evolving and improving the products that are already great, but have a lot of inexpressed potential. And so we're super excited to bring some of that really ambitious mindset to Meetup as well. So that takes me nicely to the next session about Meetup, the reason why you're all here. So the first thing that I want to say is that Meetup's mission has always been and will continue to be that to foster real life human connections, to help people grow and improve their lives. We believe really strongly that building communities and bringing people together is really as important as ever in a world that is increasingly isolated and polarized. So we're incredibly excited that we can have a role in furthering that mission. And I'm personally really excited in that as well. The Meetup ecosystem is thriving. There's about 300,000 groups on Meetup, and they span topics that go everywhere from, gardening and cosplay, all the way to, generative AI networking, and also like dinner groups, like my one in Milan. I have a dinner group in Milan. Every month, there's about 2.7 million RSVPs to events in 10,000 cities worldwide. And the great thing is that there's really so much room to continue expanding Meetup's mission and helping more and more people improve their lives through social connections. So I wanted to touch quickly upon some of the features that were launched in 2023. This was perhaps before I joined, but the team really worked tirelessly to try and deliver some features that were especially highly requested by customers. So I wanted to highlight some of them here today. The first one is event feedback. So actually, initially, the team introduced like an aggregated group rating. And it was so successful and such an interesting insight that they were bringing to organizers that many people requested to see that information in more detail. And so what the team did is that they provided some of this feedback in kind of broken down format. So, what contributes to that rating, other useful information such as how many attendees would come again, other things like that. So super useful feature. Another one that was really highly requested was, around advanced ticketing. And in particular, many people had requested promo codes and early bird ticketing. So these were the ones that were prioritized in 2023. And the last but not least, the team thought that the member profile page needed a little bit of love. And so they revamped it and really focusing on like making it possible for someone looking at someone else's profile to understand what they have in common with that person. Because it's incredibly important to, understand if the people who are going to the event that you're interested in will be relevant for you, right? So very, very important improvement. these are only some of the features that were released in 2023. So if you're interested, I encourage you to take a look at the Meetup blog for more details. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is what we're thinking of doing with Meetup in 2024. And, you know, some of us coming from Bending Spoons joined with a very fresh perspective, and we wanted to take advantage of that. So we took a lot of time to conduct research. We spoke to customers. We ran a lot of analyses. We organized. We attended events. And what came out of that was actually good amount of opportunities, which is great. You know, it doesn't happen often that you come to a product and you're just kind of overwhelmed with how many opportunities there are. But we picked 3 in particular as our top priority, and we did this alongside some customers that we spoke with. I do want to preface the next section a little bit by saying that we are still kind of in the early stages of problem solving, and so I'm going to keep a wide scope to not be too prescriptive. It's important areas of the product, so we're really big on testing ideas and validating assumptions before we fully roll out a solution that otherwise it might not be well accepted with users, or it might not work. So I will share some ideas and some examples in this presentation because I think it's great to collect your feedback and involve you in how this product is evolving as soon as possible. But keep in mind that it's still bound to change a little bit. So the 3 things that we identified are, first of all, the reliability of the product and platform. Secondly, communication tools. And thirdly, the discoverability of groups and events. Starting with the first one, and also the most urgent one, reliability. So, we recognize that there's a big area of opportunity in making sure that members and organizers can really rely on the product to work smoothly. It's incredibly important, and there's a big margin for improvement here. So this is definitely, our first opportunity and first priority. And where this stems from is, I think, quite similarly to Evernote. Meetup has, had some time to grow a lot, which is, fantastic when it comes to furthering the brand, the mission, acquiring a lot of customers. But from a technological perspective, it's resulted in a bit of accumulation in complexity and technical debt, which which implies that it's more difficult to work on the product, and as a result can also influence the user experience. At Bending Spoons, what we've found is that investing a considerable amount of resources upfront with a new acquisition can really unlock a pretty massive benefit down the line. So again, at Evernote, we invested quite a lot of resources upfront, focusing on really ensuring that the code base was stable, and it's done wonders for the team's ability to finally start churning out features and improvements. So how are we going to tackle this opportunity? There's 3 parts. First part is probably the most important, and that is migrating a large portion of the code base. Right now the code base is written in various languages. The website uses multiple different servers, and I'm not going to go into too much technical detail, but overall, this technical complexity makes it hard to work on new things without introducing bugs. And this is an area where we've already started working. Obviously, it's something that is a little bit more on the back end side. So it's maybe sounds less exciting because it's not something new, but trust me when I say that it's a great investment, which will reveal itself very, very shortly. The second aspect is tackling top bugs. And this is actually going to improve the perceived reliability of the platform. Some bugs we've already started tackling. For example, there were some bugs around the attendee list and the wait list. And the fixes have been found and will be rolled out in the coming days. By the way, we're gonna communicate when we fix some of these big bugs on some channels, and I'll mention this later. Other bugs are, the fixes for them are still underway, but we've done a bit of work to structure how we're prioritizing them, and we're really going to focus on the ones that are most blocking for core parts of the product. So, registration, event creation and attendance, and payment collection for organizers. The last aspect when it comes to improving the reliability is around simplification. And this is something that will benefit customers both directly because, a simpler product means, a smoother experience, and also indirectly because, again, it reduces the complexity of the code base. And here there's a few things that we want to do. On the one hand, we are finding ways to streamline the user experience. So, for example, to give you one specific example, just to keep in mind, right now the experience for how an organizer changes a member's role is quite convoluted. So we're just going to clean that up, obviously maintaining that functionality. Another way that we can simplify the product is by identifying some features that aren't serving customer needs and so can be removed easily with very low impact. Again, here there's still around changing leadership roles. There's 2 different features that let you do that. And so we can easily just remove one of the 2, and that's gonna, allow for a much simpler experience. So that's about all for reliability. Moving on to the second area that we're focusing on, which is communication tools. We really found that this could be a great opportunity and a really high leverage way to improve the quality of life of both members and organizers, because just the ability to stay in touch with each other is so important to ensure the successful attendance of members and their ability to actually get value from Meetup. So we did a lot of investigation on this topic, and as you know, there's 5 different ways, 5 different communication features. However, what we learned is that this is still one of the kind of biggest struggles for organizers. It's been flagged as one of the biggest areas of improvement. And in particular, we found that organizers don't really know whether members are receiving communications. So we did a lot of interviews and analyses, and we've made some observations. The first one is that there's several overlapping features. For example, event chat and event comments are serving more or less the same purpose. And the fact that there's 2 of them actually makes it a little bit difficult to form best practices. The second point, oops, I'm still on here. The second point is that there's a really large volume of emails and notifications, which create a little bit of noise. And lastly, there's several bugs that make the features a little bit unreliable. So from all of this analysis, all of this investigation, we have come up with a plan, and I'll share very high level what we're going to do. It's mainly twofold. The first part is to take communication features and kind of rethink and simplify them. So with the example with the event chat and event comments, we might decide to remove one of them and keep the other, but kind of rethink the functionality of the other one and make sure that it's, like fulfilling all of the main needs of customers. And the second part is really tackling the issue of the noise and unreliability of notifications and communication features. So we really think that this topic, from the feedback that we got, can make a big difference in the experience that people have on Meetup. Gonna have a sip of water. So the third and final area of opportunity that I wanted to talk about is around discoverability. How am I on time? Am I good? Cool. Have my helper over here. So the third area is around the discoverability of events and groups. And this is really, I mean, obviously it's a very foundational mechanism for Meetup success. And it's already working well, I have to say, but there are many indicators suggesting that there's a really big opportunity to be much more effective in the way that we basically take all of these members who are already landing onto the Meetup platform with high intent to find something relevant for them, and actually match them and actually show them things that groups and events that they'll really enjoy. So this again is a big area of opportunity that we're starting to explore, and we have some ideas that I'll share with you. But we still need to fully identify the exact solutions that we end up going for. There's many factors that influence the success of a group and whether it gets seen and it gets attended by members. But broadly speaking, there's two main sides to the topic. So on the one hand, you have the member experience. And we've kind of broken down our ideas into two buckets here. The first one is everything that related to the recommendation algorithms themselves. So, the mechanisms by which we decide what event to suggest to whom. And we have a few ideas here that I wanted to share. The first one is basically we're thinking about how we could optimize what events to show by balancing, on the one hand, the propensity to take risks of members, and on the other hand, the need to gain traction of organizers. So, for example, we might direct more new members to more seasoned groups. So by doing that, we would give more visibility to amazing, great seasoned groups, and ensure that these new members actually go to a successful event. Because if they don't go to a successful event their very first time, chances are they'll drop out. Versus on the other hand, we might drive some of the older members, or older, by older I mean like more experienced members, in terms of how many events they've already been to see newer groups. So if they've already understood the value of Meetup, it's much more likely that they'll have a higher tolerance to go to an event that is maybe less validated. And on the flip side, it's very useful for new groups to gain traction with members because it encourages the growth of the ecosystem. So that's one idea. Another idea is around the keyword search models. So basically, when a user types in searches an event, what it does is it takes that search quite literally. And the result is that it ends up kind of over-recommending online events because, distance equals 0. So it finds a perfect match, which is maybe somewhere around the world, over in-person events that are maybe slightly less exact matching, but still very relevant. So we're going to play around with that balance a little bit. So that's about the algorithm. There's also some things that we're thinking when it comes to the actual like experience for browsing and searching events, which right now is a little bit static. And it's really important, speaking to members, we realize that it's very important to really get a grasp for what the event is going to be like. And so we think that there's a lot we can do to that end. So for example, one idea that we have that we're testing, that we're going to test, is to make the browsing experience more visual and more dynamic. For example, surfacing some of the great like footage from some of the groups and showing that to a member who's thinking about joining so that they can really envision what it might be like to join that group. Yeah, so that's on the member side. We have a series of ideas also on the organizer side. So, it's not just a matter of do members find events that are already there, but also what events are we creating? Like, are they good quality events? And on this topic, there's a lot that we can do leveraging data that we already have. So, for example, we have a ton of data about what people are searching for. And what we could do and what we're thinking of doing is using some of that data to actually recommend to organizers what events they should create in order to meet demand. So for example, you're about to create an event and I tell you, hey, like there's 100 people in your area who are searching for paint and sip. Why don't you create a paint and sip event so that you're matching the demand, right, in that area? So that's one thing that we're considering. Another one is basically linked to the fact that one of the great advantages of Meetup is that it actually drives people to your groups, right? So it's not just a tool for managing the community, but it actually finds that community. However, it's hard. It's not always easy to understand why an event isn't performing well, because the only feedback that as an organizer you get is like, does someone RSVP to an event? Does someone show up to an event? So what we can do is we can actually surface some of the data that we're already collecting about, for example, like how many people saw your event or how many people clicked on your event. And that should provide really powerful feedback in terms of like the funnel of, where people are dropping off, so you can understand how to improve how you set up your events. And that's on the organizer side, and that's the last point that I wanted to talk about today. So these three items, product reliability, communications tools, and event discoverability, they are just the beginning. We really can't wait to discover more opportunities and share more with you about our progress on these priorities. In the meantime, I encourage you to share any feedback that you have with us. I think there's a form. Yep, there's a form linked here. It's something that we value very strongly, and something that I personally will read and the team will read through, because it's so important to inform the decision making for how we evolve this product. Also, there's the Meetup Discord community, which is a fantastic place to share your questions and experiences with other organizers. So check it out if you haven't joined yet. And finally, we will be using the Meetup blog and the Meetup X account for ongoing communications about product changes. So if you're curious to stay in the loop about how we how we progress on these priorities that I talked about today, feel free to have a look. And with that, I think I'm done. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope that, got you a little bit excited about the prospect for Meetup in 2024. And yeah, thank you so much. I'm passing back to Janine for Q&A.
Thank you, Chiara. And thank you for everything that you shared. I, for one, am very excited. And we have a lot of questions. The audience is also very excited. So here are some of the questions that we have for you. One question is, are customers, the organizers, the free members, the plus members, all of the above, or something else?
Yeah, sorry, that's maybe my technical jargon coming in, but when I say customers, it's more of a generic term. So meaning anyone who uses Meetup, from members, like free members, Meetup Plus members, core and pro organizers. Usually when I refer to one of these groups specifically, I'll say it. So customers is the umbrella term.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay.
No worries.
Will you add more bells and whistles, or will you focus on improving basic functionality? I hope you'll focus on basic functionality, improving organizers' ability to post events and communicate about them, improving members' ability to see events, post photos, etc. I know that was like a long one.
Yes, absolutely. As I was mentioning, reliability of the platform is our top priority, and we've already started working on that. So that's the first chunk of work that we're going to do. We're going to make sure that everything is very solid from a technology point of view. And then, bit by bit, we're going to tackle various parts of the product, as I was mentioning, starting from communication tools, which we think is really important, making sure that it works really well, and then passing on to everything else that, drives value for Meetup. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it definitely did for me. Thank you very much. And if whoever asked this question, if there is anything additional that we didn't get to answer, just feel free to ask. Okay, we organizers are paying customers. As you try to improve the platform, how will you consult with us, and how will you communicate any changes? I know that you mentioned this, but I think this is a great opportunity to mention it again.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're huge on feedback, on co-creation. Okay, wait, there were multiple parts to that. So we're going to communicate what we do on various channels. So we have Discord, we have X, we have our blog, and then there's several more, but I would say those are the main ones. And we do plan on communicating as often as we can, including like, oh, we fixed this bug, by the way. In terms of like how we get feedback, I think that it's great when there's a lot of unprompted feedback. We do read through that, especially when it comes to customer support, because there's a very kind of organized way that we can go through it. In addition to that, I've already started sending out some surveys, particularly on Discord, but also some other channels. And I started doing we've been doing a lot of interviews, so kind of one-on-one interviews talking about in-depth certain topics. Once we develop features and want to test them, the idea is to actually put them in the hands of customers, to make sure that it works. So it's kind of like a beta test of sorts. Once we're through with that, we run almost every time we make a change, we run an A/B test. So really making sure through data analysis that the change is bringing a positive impact on product metrics.
Thank you for that great answer. I will say for folks that are asking about this event, if it was recorded, yes, it is. And you can watch the recording. It'll be available tomorrow on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/meetup. And I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. If I'm saying it wrong, please correct it on the chat so that everyone has the right link so that they can watch the recording tomorrow. Chiara, can I ask you for a favor? Can you go back to that slide that had the QR
Yes.
codes for Discord as well? Yep, for the feedback and the blog. So you can find all that information there. As Chiara mentioned, we do want to hear from you, and we are sharing as we go along. So if you want to share feedback, if you want to know more, if you want to be a part of the Discord community, if you want to learn about the updates, go on the blog or go on X, previously known as Twitter. Okay, I have a couple of more questions for you. Okay. Can you comment on the focus features balance between in-person events versus online events going forward? Online events are relatively new and require a different perspective.
Yeah, so the point here isn't to like change the balance of what's being created necessarily. So it's more a matter of like properly reflecting back to users what's relevant to them, which right now is sometimes in some parts of the UX like slightly favoring online events, whereas we want to bring it back to a place where it's more balanced and that, you know, in-person events are getting all of the surface that that they should. But we're not going to change, like we're not going to make it harder to create online events or the other way around. So it's more how we surface those events.
Thank you, Kara. Okay, we have time for one more question. Does this go, gosh, this is such a tongue twister for me. Does discoverability also apply beyond Meetup, for example, on search engines like Google?
Yeah, we have like a tactical squad working on search engine optimization. And they've identified a bunch of great initiatives and great opportunities to improve SEO. I won't go into too much detail, but yes, that's on our radar, and I think we've actively started working on some of those improvements. Actually, I'm sure, but
Happy to hear that. Thank you for answering the
yes.
questions. And that's all the time that we have for today. Chiara, thank you so much for sharing everything that we Meetup are working on and what everyone can expect. I, for one, am excited to see these changes and these improvements that are going to be made. If you want to watch this event again, as I mentioned, you can find it on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/meetup. If you want to, as Chiara mentioned, we're going to be sharing updates as, you know, they happen. You can find out more on X at Meetup, as well as our blog. And if you want to share your feedback, we'd love to hear from you. You can scan the QR code here for the feedback form, and you can also join our Discord community and meet other organizers. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today. And Chiara, thank you so much for your time. Yeah,
Thank you so
have a
much.
great day. Bye,
And
everyone.
thanks, Janine.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.